All right, hi guys. Welcome to another day of Fox 5 Live. It's Monday morning. I'm in studio with Emily and Amber today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We're going to be hanging out in the digital newsroom here, bringing you various video live events throughout the day. And we want you guys to engage with us, so be sure to chat in the chat box with us. Let me know where you're watching from. My name is Molly. And again, intern Emily. In place of intern Kim, he's out for a few days. Intern Amber in the back. And we're just going to kind of roll with it, guys, see what's going on. Today, a lot of things kind of interesting. One of the main things we're going to be showing you, New York City is going through what they're calling, Governor Cuomo is calling the summer of hell. They're about to go into a crazy transit overhaul because Amtrak realized it was sort of failing its customers a lot by these recent crashes, and they want to expedite some of the repairs they're doing on Penn Station. So New York is about to have some trouble with that. We also have some other stuff going on the Hill. There's going to be a protest on the Hill for healthcare. Some disabled constituents are purportedly going to knock on the doors of some of their congressmen and women, and we'll see if we can get that live for you guys. So that should be some interesting video. Right now, you're looking at a picture of the White House on this lovely day. It's going to be a hot one this week in the 90s. So we're getting into, oh my gosh, it's mid-July. Yes, hot and humid. And okay, so first we have a little bit of a talker to talk about. We were reading this today. According to a new stat, and we were doing this on our social media today, this is sort of like a social, I guess, just a little talker. Apparently, a study out of Scotland revealed that 19% of men believe that kissing someone else other than their partner is acceptable behavior. So 19% being about 1 in 5. Meanwhile, 9% of women think this is unacceptable. 9% being like half of that, so 1 in 10 is what we were saying. So what do you guys think? Let us know. We did this on our Snapchat this morning to see kind of what people thought. What do you guys think? I mean, it's kind of a weird one to be a social. I mean, it's kind of a weird news item, to be honest.
It is. And I think it's full of crap.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think
All right, full of crap. What does Amber think? Pass it along here.
Yeah.
I mean, Fox Houston, our sister station, did this study, and we were just interested in the stats that they found.
So this is in Scotland, and they're saying that men believe that kissing another person on the lips is okay.
19%, so about 1 in 5 men. And they were taking that as a 1 in 5 kind of overall, but this study was in Scotland. Interesting.
I mean, like another like romantic interest, because I mean, I'm just asking.
in general.
I guess it's in general.
In general.
Okay.
I think, yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, I guess that could be a lot of things. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was a relatively, like, it wasn't as, like, staggering as I thought, like 19%, but, I mean, it's still a number, so it's 1 in 5.
Yeah.
20%.
Yeah, the difference is more
Right.
the fact that there's such a stark difference between. Not that, yeah.
Right. All right. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, guys. Let me know where you're watching from. We're doing Fox 5 Live here in the digital newsroom in Washington, D.C., Fox 5 local news. And we got a bunch of stuff to show you guys today. So first, we got to go to this. This happened this morning. So awesome on Virginia Beach. If you guys are local, you might know Virginia Beach. The Virginia Aquarium let us use this video of a public release of sea turtles on the beach. Super cute. Have you guys ever seen like this happen? I know crowds like gather to do this, and it was a really cool video from the Science Center, the Marine and Aquarium and Science Center in Virginia Beach. So we're gonna check it out. All right, guys, let's go to that.
We are about to do a live sea turtle release. We'll have Mark out here shortly to introduce the turtles, and then you guys will get to take a good look at them before they go back to the ocean. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello. Can everybody hear? Well, I don't know if you can all hear this tonight. You probably can't because we have a lot of surf today, a little bit of wind, but I'll do the best I can. This is as good as it gets, as loud as it gets, so I'll do the best I can. You didn't come here to see me anyway. You came here to see 5 sea turtles get released today, so we're really excited about that. We're with the Virginia Aquarium and our stranding response program, and all 5 of these sea turtles came in through our stranding response program. And that works because you folks see turtles in distress and give us a call, and then we respond to that. So that's how it works. So you're actually part of our stranding network. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for coming out today. We are going to actually walk these turtles around the perimeter, some of them, so you can see them. So you get a chance to see them. Look for the satellite tag on Mango Tango. That turtle has a satellite tag on its back. Some of the turtles have sonic tags on the outside edge of their shell, so look for that too. I guess the last thing I want to say is thank you to all of you for coming out today. And we are going to, these little yellow stakes you see on the beach, a turtle is going to be released from each one of those stakes. They're all going to be released at the same time, so you don't have to move around. You can stay where you're at. You'll be able to see a sea turtle out there. But again, we're going to walk them around the edge first, so you'll be able to see them. 3 different species today. We have a green sea turtle, that's bridge. We have a loggerhead sea turtle, that's tamarin. Then we have 3 Kemp's Ridleys, who are aquamarine, inchworm, and mango tango. So I'm going to stop talking because I know y'all want to see the sea turtles, and we'd like to get them moving too. They don't like to be sitting on the beach in the. Well, it's not too hot today, so that's good. The last thing I will say is it's a challenge for everybody to see. As you can tell, it's pretty deep here. So if you're sitting or if you're near the front, especially the kids, if you can get down low so that people from behind you can see and allow people to see very well, that'll help. We're going to bring the turtles right around so you'll be able to see them. And I'll finish up by saying that the Aquarium Stranding Response Program runs on donations from the public and grants that we're able to get from other organizations. So if you like what you see today and you like what we're doing, we'd love for you to go online and consider making a donation. We do have a donation box out here today if you'd like to do it today underneath the big tent. And thank you all for coming out, and we'll get the show underway. Thanks. I don't expect a midnight call from you.
Hey, Brian, we got that.
Hey, Brian, they got that. Come here
We
real
got
quick.
that, Brian.
They can go.
Brian, we got it.
What? What they got?
Hey guys, so once again, you guys are watching this from earlier this morning, actually just moments ago. This was open to the public in Virginia Beach, and they were slated to release these 3 different types of sea turtles that have been rehabilitated. Do we know anything else about that, or
just that they're green turtles and loggerhead turtles and a Kemp's Ridley turtle?
Yeah, so 3 different kind of types, I guess, of turtles were being released, and you can see here families and crowds kind of gathered on the beach. She's showing one off. That's so cute. And I guess they were sort of stranded, entangled, or hooked turtles that were rehabilitated that they're putting back into the ocean, into their home. And again, this is from the Virginia Aquarium and Marine Science Center, who hosted this, and let us preview it a little bit. So take a look, guys. It's kind of cool.
Somebody is chomping at the bit to get out of here. So I actually saw Cynthia the other day.
So we have a question coming in. What's written on the turtle shell?
Oh, we write their names. It's actually using liquid paper. It's bound to be non-toxic on the animal. It dissolves pretty quickly, but it's something that we can use to identify them so that we can make sure we keep their food intake appropriately. We can measure all of their weight and height and length and all those kinds of things appropriately. You can actually track these animals at seaturtle.org. It'll be the one with the satellite tag, Mango Tango, is the one you'll be able to track. The other animals have these acoustic tags, which if you look below on our Facebook page, you can see a video about why we do that. It was put on by the pilot. It's a really great video. It talks about why it's important for us to tag them. Special shout out to our friends, U.S. Navy Stewards of the Sea, for the acoustic tags and for doing the monitoring with us. We appreciate it.
What type of turtles being released?
We have three turtles being released, 3 types of turtles, a total of 5 turtles. We have 3 Kemp's Ridleys, 1 green sea turtle named French, and 1 loggerhead sea turtle named Tamara.
Yeah, when she's done, then everybody's very good. Should I get back? Outside the house, maybe 50, 60 feet. All right. And you got everybody clued into making sure they're getting not standing anywhere.
But now he's free to go home.
And then all these other people that are inside here, we need to make sure they know to get down inside.
Hey guys, just checking in with you here on Fox 5 Live. We're in the Washington, D.C. Digital Newsroom studio, and we're watching right now some video from earlier this morning provided to us by the Virginia Aquarium and Marine Science Center. Earlier this morning, just moments ago, they released some turtles back into the wild. These are rehabilitated turtles who were either injured or tangled or hooked, and they're actually sort of putting out this like service message for people. If you find turtles in this state, there's a number to call. There's even a hotline for this. And so anyway, that's the video we're looking at right now. And I'm here with Emily and Amber in the studio. And we're going to watch this little release and then come back into the studio so you guys can join us for some more live news and breaking news as we get it in throughout the day. So we'll see you guys soon.
some of you ahead of time, and I mentioned the fact that sea turtles at this age are not on the beach. Sea turtles will never really come back on land unless they're females and they're going back to nest. So it is not normal for these turtles to be on the beach, but you'll see when they get down on the beach close to the water, they know what to do. So unfortunately, the beach is very steep today, so it's very difficult for you folks up here to see it.
All right. So did they all go? We saw one or four, or
We saw at least two.
two of them went. So we're waiting on a couple more. Big crowd for just like a four.
Huge crowd. Oh my
For just
god.
four turtles, but it's so five
Five
turtles.
turtles.
Okay, five turtles, but I guess they'll do one more here. Yeah, maybe they did. Once again, guys, this is courtesy of Virginia Aquarium. A rehabilitated turtle release this morning in Virginia Beach, down a couple hours south of DC, maybe 2.5 hours. And just kind of a cool little spectacle, lots of crowds gathering for this event. You can see lots of kids, lots of families. It's a fun little animal event. Looks like nice, kind of breezy, cloudy weather on the beach. Different than up here.
Attention, Foxes.
Oh, okay.
Jessica, you can take some pictures for her.
All right, guys, welcome back to the newsroom. We are back here at Fox 5 Digital News, and we're going to bring you actually to some live breaking news out of a couple different places. First up to Wareham, Massachusetts. Right now we're getting in some aerials of a situation up there. Apparently, some schools are on lockdown up there due to some threatening emails that have been sent around. Don't have too much more information further than that, but we're going to be getting that more information for you as we watch this. But we've seen, this is always quite scary. You never know kind of how to deal with this because anything threatening or bomb threats or anything can be a much larger thing, or it can be it can dissolve. So we'll keep an eye on this for you guys. Also, jumping over the pond to London, check it out. This is just setting the stage here for the parents of the 11-month-old baby, Charlie Gard. You've probably heard about him in the news. This baby who has a rare genetic disorder. The parents have sort of been in the news, right, for the past weeks about petitioning some alternative treatments for their child and possibly bringing him over to the United States for these experimental treatments. These garnered some support from the President Trump himself. So that was sort of in the news a little bit when Trump was tweeting about it. But they're slated to make a statement here in just a few moments. So we're going to try to catch that live as well. But yeah, Emily, you were talking about this a little bit. Did you know much more about this case?
They said that they had more evidence, they have all these different doctors from different countries trying to help them prove that taking the baby to the United States to get other treatment might actually help him because he is terminally ill, and at this point there's not a lot they can do, but they think that this experimental treatment could help at least. Yeah, exactly. And I was just sort of reading some updates on this too. So it's a very sad scenario, very sad kind of situation. But apparently they'll have something else to say, some new information, some type of statement prepared, and that should be happening momentarily. We'll make sure that we bring you here. This might be
now. So we'll take a look here. Then we're going to bring you back up to outside of Boston, where we're hearing about these this potential security threat, these schools on lockdown. So let's listen in. Yeah, guys, so just checking in again, we're going to kind of watch and wait because the parents of this terminally ill baby, 11-month-old Charlie Gard, which we were reading about, to kind of get some more information. Apparently, his parents are fighting some people's opinions that maybe he should not be kept on life support. Is that right? Or
it says, yeah, they're fighting doctors actually to keep him on life support so that they can take him to the U.S.
For different types of treatment. Okay. So that's what we're kind of watching, guys. They have a statement to give sort of to the public. That will be quite interesting. Probably give us an update on what's happening there. But now, guys, over to these aerials. Let's switch it up to Massachusetts. Up in Wareham, Mass. Right now, we're reading that schools are on lockdown and may be evacuated following a threat to one or more of these schools that are in session for summer school. So first day of summer school and various camp programs here in Wareham, Massachusetts. That's what where it is, the report saying. So we're kind of watching this and getting a little more information on what's happening right now. Not a ton out there, but emergency vehicles have been dispatched. You can actually see some of them there in that shot. And apparently multiple schools are on lockdown up there. I don't unfortunately have a report or any Sky Fox reporter there giving us more information, but we're going to be looking for more as we effort what's going on up in Massachusetts, guys. So we're going to bring you both side by side as they are both live, and we'll check back in with you with more details very shortly. Yeah, guys, so it looks like we're kind of losing the footage right now from the chopper up in Massachusetts. We may get that back if that situation does continue up near Boston, Massachusetts. But right now we wait this case, which has become really more of an ethical medical case about, you know, the court saying it may not be worth it to keep him on life support, this 11-month-old baby with a very rare genetic brain damage disorder. And then others saying, well, there is another thing called nucleoside therapy, which is an experimental treatment that may be available to this baby Charlie in the United States. So the question was if or not he'll be able to, there we go, we got the aerials back. If or not he'd be able to come over. The parents were kind of fighting that, I guess, with the courts. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been through many levels of court in the UK, and it's gotten so much attention. People like President Trump have talked about it. He tweeted back in
what he said?
Or earlier this month. He said, "If we can help little Charlie Gard, as per our friends in the UK and the Pope, we would be delighted to do so." He tweeted that on July 3rd. And the Pope had also expressed his support of the parents, saying that they should, I mean, a little bit more looser in what he said, but just that he thinks that the parents should be able to follow him to the end, whatever that means to them.
Wow.
For them.
Yeah, I was going to add that in, but she mentioned it. Pope Francis also giving sort of his statement on that. So it has become big, sort of in the limelight and the spotlight as a case. And if you guys have been following it, you might be familiar, obviously, with what's happening. But right now, we're looking live at some sort of building here in London where the parents are supposed to come out. Maybe this is the hospital. I actually don't know. But they'll be coming out to make a statement, apparently. And then, guys, in the right-hand corner of your screen, you're looking at aerials still of Wareham, Massachusetts. Multiple schools are reported to be on lockdown due to some type of email threat. We don't hear that a lot, I guess. It's kind of interesting, that electronic threat. But again, still kind of working to find more information on this lockdown up in Massachusetts. You can see multiple schools seem to be in this area. Summer school is in session, right? It's July. So camps and summer schools have been reported that some have been evacuated as well due to this threat. So there's a field. Yeah, we'll have to kind of watch and wait for more information on that, guys. But we'll keep you here and keep you updated. So stay along with us here, awaiting Charlie Gard's parents, who are going to speak, give a public statement about what's going on in their case to get him to the United States for this extra experimental treatment for their baby who has this rare genetic disorder. And it's become quite a big sort of case in world news, really. So we'll watch and wait and listen, guys. And for now, we are in Fox 5's digital newsroom. We're going to be back with you guys in a moment with more updates. So, guys, as we still await this little public statement from Charlie Gard's parents, we're still looking. There you go, Wareham Middle School up in Massachusetts. Some schools, multiple schools, are on lockdown. Not a lot of information out there. What we do know is that an administrator apparently received an email that threatened the safety of students, and that's what you're seeing in the bottom right screen there, you can see that looks like a SWAT team, really, right? Lots of emergency vehicles, and the report is that police were armed with long guns and entered an elementary school there. That was just some aerials of the middle school. So it looks like multiple schools kind of in that whole conglomerate of schools have been shut down. There's a little closer view of some what look like security officials or authorities with cruisers, lights and sirens. Apparently it all happened early this morning. This is Monday morning. So they did not, they took this very seriously, just, an email threat to an administrator, and they took it from there. So we'll see if any updates come out of this, guys. But not a lot more details confirmed by police on this scenario right here. We still wait behind our screen right here for the parents of Charlie Gard, who are going to give a statement on the situation in London. We'll hear from them in a little bit.
It's never.
Yeah, guys, if you're checking this out, this like tank-looking thing, SWAT or something in the bottom right, that's in Massachusetts. So we're wondering in here, it looks like we lost that London feed. We're wondering in here how serious this threat was, because look at this, close-ups of they're going in here.
Yeah, all the superintendent said there was he sent out a message saying today an email was sent to an administrator which threatened the safety of students. Buildings have been placed in lockdown as the police are in process of searching the buildings. Information will be shared as available.
As available.
As vague as it gets.
It's real vague. Yeah, we don't have a lot of information. Again, the administrator just saying it was a threat.
I think, based on what they're saying, I guess they're just trying not to say any details, and they're just trying to simply sugarcoat it. Like, yeah, it was a threat. But based on what I'm seeing, it was. I'm pretty sure there were some details that they did not want to let come public yet.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that close up. They are really going in there. So this may be more serious than we think. We don't know. Multiple cruisers were dispatched. There were sirens, according to reports, lights on, and some police were seen with long guns entering one of the elementary schools. Now, we just saw footage of a middle school, so it looks like they're probably in close proximity or something. These aerials have been circling around for a while now, but that's a really good close-up shot.
I wonder if they're doing any details on, like, who sent the email. Like, I mean, I may not be able to, because there might be some type of ability so that way you don't get like see who sent it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure like they could somehow crack that and figure out who's in the email and possibly go from there.
Yeah, exactly. You wonder sort of what the steps are when police have to deal with this, because all they said was the buildings are in lockdown because as the police are in process of searching these buildings due to an email that was sent to an administrator which threatened the safety of students. Apparently, according to that administrator, it was a threat enough to call this in. So that's pretty interesting.
But they believe that the person who sent the email is in the school?
I don't know. What I'm guessing is that they're gleaning it for dangerous things, possibly a bomb, possibly something that could be in there. Maybe not a person per se. What do you think, Emily?
Yeah, no, I guess just the number and the serious, like the amount of people that are there shows how serious it is, but nothing yet has been said about whether it was a shooter or not. There's like a little bit on Twitter, like people asking if it was a shooter, but
Really?
that's not obviously not confirmed yet. So
Yeah.
it seems more, I don't know, maybe like a bomb threat perhaps. I don't know. That seems like a lot of people.
That's what I was thinking.
A part of me wants to think that it's not even I think it's like a middle schooler or someone who's trying to do a prank or something, because it's also like, yes, it's a serious, but at the same time it could be a kid, a middle schooler who just doesn't want to go to summer school.
Yeah.
Like, cause this could just be a very simple prank, but then again, we don't know the details of that email.
Yeah.
So if it's something as bad as we think it is, then
right. And again, guys, this is Wareham, Mass, in Plymouth County, Massachusetts. If you're familiar, it's near that little curl at the end of Massachusetts. That's Cape Cod. So it's across sort of the bay from Martha's Vineyard, below Boston. This is south of Boston, closer really to Rhode Island. So I'm a little bit familiar just because New Bedford, Fall River, this area of Massachusetts. So south of Boston, a few counties below, near Cape Cod, very close to Cape Cod, near Sandwich, Massachusetts, which is part of Cape Cod.
Attention Fox stations. The news source on the X Live Channel 1 is 8 p.m. The news source on the X Live.
And guys, as you know, we're still awaiting the statement in London from the little 11-month-old baby, Charlie Gard. His parents have a statement as they've been going through proceedings in court, situations about getting their child, continuing him on life support or getting him off and bringing him to the U.S. for further treatment. So something went down this morning. They have a statement coming out soon. So we'll flash over there when we have that live. But for now, still some live pictures here and pretty detailed, pretty close live pictures of this SWAT team entering, or what looks like the SWAT team entering these schools in Wareham, Massachusetts. Pretty scary stuff.
quick question: if you were a kid back there, how would you feel about this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Apparently I wonder if there are kids still in there or if only some of them have been evacuated. They were saying that some schools have been reported to be evacuated. I don't know really what you do. You're in middle school, elementary school, you don't really know the details. They probably don't tell you anything.
No. Though, I feel like in this post 9/11 world, we're a little bit more, like I know we had different drills when I was in school about like if a shooter came in the building, which is scary, but like unfortunately it's something you need to know to like lock the door, hide, like turn the lights off, like hide under your desk and all that different stuff. So
tell me a little bit about that, because I was in high school for 9/11, so things didn't really roll out for safety things until probably later became very mainstream to learn about this. Were you like a little kid learning how to like line up first? Like what did you do?
Yeah, well, I was in kindergarten when 9/11 happened, and I don't really remember, but I do, like one of the planes flew over my school, like it was, so I have like
you're from here.
Yeah, I'm from local, but then pretty much I feel like my whole life, at least once a year we'd have like a drill like that, like, you know, you have your tornado drills, your fire drills, and then we also had like our shooter in the building drill. And what was that like? Do you hide away in a room? I mean, this is pretty graphic and morbid, but it's important. No, we you turn off the lights and essentially just pretend like you're not there, which like when I was little I was like, that's so stupid, they know we're here, but like it's just to like at least not draw attention to the room. Like, there's a room full of kids and people, but we'd hide under the desk or like in the corner of the room, like as far away from the door or like the window to the hallway as possible. And lock the door. And when would you say you started learning that? If 9/11 happened when you were in kindergarten, did that happen soon thereafter, or was it right away, or way later? I don't know, far enough back, but to the point where it's like standard now. Like isn't that interesting? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know this because I don't have that experience of being in school as a little kid for 9/11. But we were just talking about, if you're just joining us, guys, we're looking at live pictures of this report that schools are on lockdown in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's below Boston, next to Cape Cod. And we saw some really, really intense footage of tank-looking things with a SWAT team going in to secure these buildings to make sure that these emails, apparently some threatening emails were sent, according to an administrator, and they're taking it very seriously. Amber, you had some thoughts on the whole sort of taking precaution in wake of 9/11?
Well, I don't remember. I barely remember 9/11 as a whole.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any of those type of the safety drills. The closest I got was like fire drills. And the only time that we even started doing anything about any type of shootings occurred like during like my high school, like junior senior year. So as far as I know, we didn't do anything else. Like we had this one time when we had the earthquake, we all sat in the hallway, but that was mostly it. And I know this is gonna sound really bad, but I know me as a kid, and from my point of view as like an elementary or middle school student, I would either be pretty excited or pretty bummed because I could like, if I was like not looking forward to like summer school, and there's like, oh, no summer school today, I would probably be like pretty ecstatic. And I know it was probably like bad because of like the circumstances. Like my dad will probably tell me later, and then I'll get scared. But before then, I'll just mostly be excited of the fact that I don't have to go to summer school. And I'm pretty sure there's probably at least one, maybe two kids that have the same idea.
I just wonder really how much these kids actually know what's going on, right? Because even in the news, we don't have a lot of information to give you guys about what we're seeing. But you know, you wonder how quiet they keep it, and if kids are really in these rooms sort of holding up, or if they were evacuated. Some have been reported to be evacuated, but you wonder really how much they tell the kids.
I don't think there's any need to tell it. If the kids are being held in a specific room, and then next thing they know, they peek out the window and they just see some security people armed, they're gonna say, oh no, something bad's wrong.
There's definitely a chance of that. It really is interesting to see that you guys, you know, you were young during 11, but also these school shootings that we've seen that so sadly have become so mainstream, and it's horrible that they've become almost desensitized now, or people have become that. That these need to be taken very, very seriously. So we're watching this email threat roll out in this sort of small area in Plymouth County, Wareham, Massachusetts, a town near Cape Cod right now. And we saw a close-up there of the middle school, Wareham Middle School, and an elementary school in that same sort of connect, the elementary, middle, high school. Not a lot of details now about the high school, but the public schools received some sort of email that was threatening to students, and they decided to lock them down. So that's what we're seeing right now. You can see the parking lot there.
I'm seeing some buses moving, so I think this school might be evacuating, because I'm seeing some buses on the move.
Right. That's what we're watching right now, guys. Still not any new updates besides this. If you guys are just joining us or watching, let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any comments, join in on the conversation with us as we keep an eye on this email threat. Schools have been locked down.
Is this a Baptist school?
It's the public school system in Wareham. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm seeing a building over there that kind of looks like a church or something.
Yeah,
in the upper, but where the Jeep sign is.
Don't quite know. It looks like we are still watching. Yeah, we never got. We'll take it back full screen here, guys. Or actually, we'll split it up. Yeah, back to us here in the newsroom, guys. We were awaiting the parents of Charlie Gard. They were going to make a public statement. I just saw the press sort of dissolve in London there, so it looks like that either never happened or it was quite quick or nothing really became of it. Maybe they'll reschedule that, but we were kind of watching and waiting for that. Right now, yeah, we're just going to kind of keep our eye on this aerial footage here in Massachusetts of this lockdown, guys. And if we have more information, we'll bring that to you very shortly. All right, guys, now we're seeing some school buses here in more full force, right? Mm-hmm. We saw a few. Maybe they're shipping some of the students away to a nearby school. Maybe they're coming in to pick up students, but either way, something's happening. Mm-hmm. Emily, you were mentioning some of the officials on the ground were ATF. Mm-hmm. Remember ATF?
Yeah, some of the officials that we saw, the people in uniform going in into the school are ATF officials, and these are people who are special agents that specialize in just different violations with firearms and arson, tobacco and alcohol. So very more specialized than police. So
okay, yeah, so
more on the seriousness.
It does seem more serious, right? Exactly.
Oh, I think they're evacuating them and then safely taking them somewhere. Well,
it looks
the police.
And we've seen this in the past. I think a few months ago we were watching another sort of situation unfold like this, aerials of a lockdown, and we did see buses sort of picking up crews of people, bringing them to nearby schools to kind of continue to just stay safe, really. I've seen this before, so it's possible that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, I wish we had more of a live report or something, but this is all we know, guys. They're not releasing a lot of information on this.
Doesn't help that school's not in session, and these are also probably younger kids that aren't, not that these kids don't have phones or anything, but they might be in the dark. They might not, not a lot of people to be giving out information either.
Yeah, and a little more information on this town, guys. It's a small town, like we were mentioning, in Plymouth County, Massachusetts. Roughly 22,000 people in the town. It was small. 1 high school, 1 middle school, and 2 elementary schools.
Oh
so
my gosh.
What we know is involved, right? The ones involved are for sure this middle school that we saw, the elementary school as well. One of them, one of the 2, maybe both, we don't know. And then I didn't see details on the high school, but pretty interesting. Also, guys, we're getting in some new footage here over in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's jump on over. A small plane is down in Phoenix. Check this out. No sound on this one either. Looks like a really small plane. I mean, we have a report.
You got it.
I don't see any signs of burn, so we don't know. We know any details?
Quite scary. I'm gonna look up some details now, guys. We just got this source in, so it's brand new. Keeping an eye on what's going on still in Massachusetts, but yeah, we'll look up some more information on this. Apparently, a small plane down in the Phoenix area. Not sure.
Is that a person?
Is there still a person in it? We don't know.
Wait.
So again, guys, this is a small plane down. That's a really big close-up there. This is the Phoenix area. We just got this in. It looks like the person is, hopefully, we pray, out.
It says actually the pilot's the only person who was the only person on board is not injured. So.
Good. Okay, awesome. We always get these in and we're like, what's happening? Who's down? And even last week with that plane that missed the runway over in California and it landed on the 405 freeway in California. That was so wild, and it was a bigger plane than this. But luckily, this guy is okay, guys. We're going to switch over now. Another thing going on live. Check it out, Sarasota, Florida. We just got this in, too. There's a scaffolding rescue or some sort of accident underway. We're going to try to get some details for you guys and come back with you in a second. All right, guys, we're getting some more information on this scaffolding rescue. Emily, you had some details.
Yes, so what happened here was the scaffolding, some lines snapped, and this happened at the 10th floor of this 18-floor building they're working at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this guy, I wonder if he's if he fell a good ways and is now being rescued off and is injured or not. Yeah, I don't look. Maybe they're getting close down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're getting close to the ground. It looks pretty close.
Wow. So yeah, I'm reading the same thing from Emily. The worker trapped high in this accident, about 12 stories up. Is that what you were saying?
It says 10, but 10,
Okay.
12.
10, 12.
Pretty
Similar. Scaffolding was tilted sideways, trapped the worker about 12 stories high under a building, or sort of working high outside of the building under construction in Sarasota, Florida. And police and emergency crews responded. That's all we know, guys. Oh yeah, and they're updating that the rescue has reached this one worker and will lower him down. Thank goodness. Looks like he is okay. That is quite scary.
This article also says that less than a month ago, also in Sarasota, almost the same thing happened.
My goodness.
15 floors up, just outside a building, and a line holding a scaffolding. This guy, this construction worker, and another worker were standing on, snapped, leaving him hanging in his harness for over an hour.
Oh my goodness.
But then he was rescued, and that was less than a month ago.
In the same town, Sarasota. I wonder if they'll be, working on new developments in safety precautions and rules on construction and cables and everything that caused this after these two incidents. That's really interesting. Looks like this guy is going to be okay, luckily, but this is pretty compelling footage. It's kind of scary. These guys have to be trained to be okay with heights, right? I mean, they're working on the outside of these buildings, many, many stories up, doing their job, so being cognizant and competent in their jobs, and like dangling off a building. Pretty crazy. Wow. There's some close-ups more. Still waiting and watching, guys, on more details from the lockdown in Massachusetts. We don't have that aerial anymore, but I'm going to be looking to see if I can get more of that from sister stations and whatnot, to make sure we update you guys on that. Yep, there he goes. Oh yeah, very close. That's a good thing. Awesome. We can see the actual rescue unfold and complete. It was okay. Probably just scared.
Right now, he let us just take a breather.
I wonder how long he was up there. It doesn't say when
I
it snapped or anything.
Yeah, same.
Because this other one, the one from earlier this month, said he was up there for over an hour.
Wow.
Just like hanging there.
Waiting for crews. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, guys, if you're just joining us, you're looking at this footage here live. Looks like the rescue is complete. This guy was dangling on the side of a building. We don't know how long for, but there was a scaffolding accident and rescue on this. He was about 12 stories high up outside of the building working on a construction, and rescue crews were able to get to him, and now things look good from there. Also, guys, we're looking at this picture. This is a plane down in Phoenix. Apparently the guy is okay. We were confirming that. But a small plane down in Phoenix, Arizona, rescue crews came to the scene of that, and
just a pilot was on board. They don't actually, or he hasn't said what exactly it was that brought him down, but he came down. A little bit more of a crash, as it seems.
I know.
But he's okay.
Good thing.
Those tiny planes scare me so much.
They are scary. Let's get more close-up, guys, on this other rescue. Back to Sarasota. We get a little more of a close-up on the guy. But yeah, those tiny planes for sure.
Oh my god.
So scary. You feel everything, I think.
I think something happened.
Yeah, it looks like he's possibly... Yeah, they're definitely going to check him out for sure.
Yeah, it looks like something happened to his legs, but he was walking, so I don't think it was super severe. But probably something that they should probably check.
Yeah, we did see him come down, stand, and walk a little bit.
So they're probably just checking to make sure nothing's too badly damaged.
Still no new information, guys, on the lockdown in Massachusetts. We were bringing you that aerial footage earlier. Nothing new updated there. We just know those email threats happened. They secured the school. There were police and security officials entering the school. We saw buses possibly there to take students and get them to safety. But again, just a threat that we don't know if that threat will come to fruition, really. But we'll sort of wait for updates there as well. All right, guys, looks like they are panning out of that scene, but let's flip it back on over to Phoenix. This is a little more close-up, compelling scene. Looks like they're trying to deal with what to do now with the plane and the one-seater there, right? Just the pilot was on board. Yeah, this is Phoenix, Arizona, guys. Small little plane in an accident, but the guy was okay. Got out. We don't see him. I'm not sure where, if he's in... If he got transported, but that's what we know, guys. Guys, while we're watching this, and it looks like our footage is kind of going away. Oh yeah, it looks like we might have just lost that. So we'll bring it back into the studio. But we were talking about this. If you guys saw the close-up on that plane, there was a Virginia Tech sticker on the back of that plane. And like a month or so ago, Emily, you went out on the story. We covered it in here also with intern Cam. Our reporter Bob Barner did the story about the women university students who were pilots, and they were in this race to fly across the country. Right, from Virginia to eventually to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
It was actually Frederick Municipal Airport, so it was in Maryland, and it was, I think, maybe close to 50 or so planes of women. There are all these single, like this plane that we had just up on the screen.
Yeah, just like the one that went down.
Just these little single engine planes.
Right.
Maybe a little bit bigger. I don't know if
I think
this
there
one.
were 2 in each.
Oh
yeah,
about 2, a co-pilot and pilot, most of them, and it was women, all different ages. Some old veterans, veteran pilots of many years, and so a lot of them were college age students, which I thought about when it said the Virginia. There's a little Virginia Tech sign.
And that made me correlate. I hope to God it wasn't something.
Someone
related.
young like that, or
yeah. I mean, hopefully she obviously they said the pilot was okay, so it may have been, but who knows?
Yeah.
But it does remind me of that because they were all sort of college and university student or sponsored or whatever. They were from their own.
Apparently, some colleges have like clubs, like aviation clubs, which maybe it's just because I haven't gotten into aviation, but it just like blew my mind that that's something kids do. Like so cool that kids my age are out there flying across the country by themselves.
Would you ever do that? It's so interesting to me, but they scare me a little bit.
I know. I don't know if I could get in one of those tiny little planes.
I know, they're so small.
Even some like small airports, my mom has like trouble with me flying out from just because she thinks that like
because they're small prop planes, exactly. Well, guys, we're going to change gears a little bit because we don't have any more sources coming in. So we're going to go on over to an update in New York City. If you guys don't know, essentially, there are 2 months of many disruptions going on in the New Jersey-New York transit system as Amtrak has decided to push along some new plans to work on train tracks and various things in light of recent derailments and problems with Amtrak. We've seen so many things. If we think it's bad in D.C., which we've had some problems with Metro, New York is about to undergo these big new sort of repairs and whatnot that will back people up big time at Penn Station. So Senator Chuck Schumer, along with Cory Booker, had some words on that this morning on how they will affect people who are trying to get across really into the city or across the city for work, which is crazy because New York City is such a public transit type of place. If you live there, pretty much, you don't really drive. You use public transport or other means of transportation, but usually it's a big one. Lots of commuters, obviously, and this will affect them. So Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York is saying this is going to be the summer of hell for New York City, and this is an interesting little news conference with the senator themselves. So let's check it out.
For the iron workers, and for the sandhogs of the laborers union. And I'm proud to say that my cousin was a member of 79 in the laborers, and they gave him a good pension and good benefits till he died. So we appreciate it. Now, first, let me say that we are here today. Today's the first day of the pain at Penn Station. Why did that happen? Because they didn't invest enough in keeping the infrastructure going. Neither the federal government nor the state government put the money in that was necessary. As these gentlemen will tell you, when you build an important rail station and rail commute, you need to maintain it and you need to keep it up to snuff. So the ties go bad, the signals go bad, you need new cars, you need everything. And there's $36 billion that the feds didn't put into Amtrak, despite Cory and my efforts over the years. The state and the MTA did the same. And that's why we're suffering today. We do not want to repeat the mistakes of the past. The ARC tunnel of Gateway would be finished by next year had they not pulled out of it 10 years ago. We would have had 2 brand new tunnels. But we didn't just say, oh, too bad. We put together a new gateway plan. This gateway tunnel is vital to our New York economy, is vital to the whole Northeast. The tunnels that now go under the Hudson River, the only 2 tunnels, are old, 100 years old, and Sandy was the final blow. If they collapse, if they're not used, if they fail, we will go into a recession immediately. No one will get across the Hudson, and the whole Boston to Washington corridor will fail. So the #1 infrastructure project in all of America is the Gateway project to keep our economy going. And in addition, there is no better way to provide middle-class jobs than doing construction and doing it through labor unions, which is how Gateway will be built. With skilled trades doing all the work and getting it done. So why are we here? Well, we're worried. We do not want to repeat the mistakes of the past. And President Trump has given us some reason to worry. He talked about $1 trillion infrastructure plan. We're for that. I called him the first week after he was elected. I said, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. That doesn't matter. We can work on this Gateway tunnel together. It's a $24 billion project. It will not only build the tunnels, but it will deal with the Portal Bridge in New Jersey, and it will double track capacity into Penn Station, so we'll never have the same problems that we've had this year. And the president at first said, yeah, he likes that. But now we're worried for two reasons. Number one, in the president's budget, he eliminated the New Starts program, which would have put billions of dollars into that project. And just last week, we had set up a Gateway Development Corporation. We came to agreement with Governor Cuomo, Governor Christie, and the feds that the feds would pay half and the state, New Jersey, New York, would pay half. And we set up a development corporation to monitor the money. Last week, Elaine Chao called up the Secretary of Transportation and said they're taking their name off the Gateway Development Corporation. Now, she said it's for a technical reason, but they didn't take their name off other development corporations where the same technical reason would exist. So Cory Booker and I want to reach across the aisle and work with the president and work with our Republican colleagues to build Gateway. This is the first real test whether President Trump will put his money where his mouth is and fund infrastructure here in New York and throughout America. And that's what we need. We're not saying he's no, but he hasn't said yes. And we're all here to urge him to say a loud yes. So we can work together and fund this great project. Again, there's no more important project in all of America. This would be the biggest public works project in all of America. And we are dedicated to getting this done for the sake of the economy, for the sake of New York and New Jersey, and for the sake of good jobs like the people standing behind me right now have. We're going to get this done, and we want the president's commitment and cooperation, and together we can do it. Thank you. Senator Booker.
Thank you, everybody. It is good to stand here with the Democratic leader in the Senate. It's good to stand here with my friend and my partner on working on projects that matter to people. And I'm very grateful that he insisted to have this press conference right here so that we can have a view of New Jersey right across the river. Thank you very much, Chuck. Chuck has a little bit of an insecurity about the lording of New Jersey over New York, but I appreciate you dealing with that.
But I asked him, what letters does it say on the helmets of the Giants?
And where do the Giants play in New Jersey? Anyway, we'll deal with that squabble later, but we are 100% in agreement with the reason why we're standing here right now. We have a painful Penn Station problem starting today, lasting until September 1st. This is outrageous and unacceptable, and it's a symptom of us not investing in infrastructure, allowing our infrastructure to decay and decline over the last 2-3 decades. A generation ago, we had the best infrastructure on the planet Earth, but because we didn't invest in it, we didn't take care of it, we've seen massive decline, massive decaying. In fact, right here along the Northeast Corridor, you can go faster in the 1960s between Boston and New York, faster in the 1960s than you can travel today. It's about a half an hour slower because of our decayed infrastructure. So people today are recognizing the cost of that, the pain of that. But this pain people are feeling right now is a mere rainstorm compared to the tsunami that people will feel if these rail tunnels have to be shut down to be repaired. Instead of a problem lasting weeks, it'll be a problem lasting more than a year. It will cause a traffic Armageddon in this region if we allow things to get so bad to the point that we have to shut down one of the rail tunnels going into New York, between New York and New Jersey, that critical artery on the Northeast corridor. When it comes to the nation of ours, the body politic of the United States of America, there are many veins connecting this country, many transportation arteries. But the jugular vein in the United States of America, when it comes to transportation, when it comes to economic vitality, when it comes to opportunity, is the Northeast corridor. This is the most productive economic region in the entire country, the most productive economic region in all of North America, one of the most productive economic regions on the planet Earth. And we have allowed the infrastructure to decay to an unacceptable level that puts in danger our entire regional economy and the nation's economy. One day of the Northeast corridor being down, just one day, costs about $100 million in productivity. One day. Imagine what it would be like to have those kind of problems going for more than a year if we don't invest in the infrastructure. And so I'm proud that I'm standing with Senator Chuck Schumer. We know that there's no time like now to make this investment, not just to avoid crises of tomorrow, not just to avoid impossible traffic delays, not just to have the tsunami of problems, but look behind me right now. There is no time in America more urgent than now for us to create good paying union jobs. By investing our taxpayer dollars in infrastructure projects like this, we will create thousands of jobs at a time our economy needs it. And we know independent studies show that every dollar invested in infrastructure in our country produces $2 in increased economic output. But that's for the country as a whole. If you do it here in the New Jersey, New York region, dollars invested will expand our economy and give returns on taxpayer dollars. There's nobody over there on Wall Street that wouldn't line up for better returns. Our country needs to make this investment for jobs, for our future. I want to say one thing. I'm worried. We had amazing bipartisan alignment in doing this project under the last administration. When you can get Christie and Cuomo, 4 regional senators, regional Congress people on both sides of the aisle, when you can get a FAST Act passed in the Senate, where I partnered with Roger Wicker to get increased investment in rail, when we can get everything in place, we now have a problem, though, that Trump's budget gives us cause for concern. To zero out the funding for things like New Starts means that he's turning his back on his campaign promise to invest in American infrastructure, to give us a first-class infrastructure. We cannot allow that to happen. So we're standing here today saying that we've made a lot of progress over the last 3 years. There is no issue. Yet my staff has been working on more just about every day with New Jersey Transit and Amtrak, working in Washington and here in this region, been working on these tunnels, on this ARC project. But we cannot allow our momentum and our progress to be foiled, to be stopped by a president that's not willing to prioritize infrastructure 100% contrary to what he was saying as a candidate. And so now I stand with Chuck, I stand with Senator Schumer and everybody in this region, Democrats and Republicans, who are suffering today trying to commute to work because of our failed infrastructure. We cannot allow these problems and these mistakes to continue. We must end them now by, as a nation, making sure we put the investment that will, right here where it matters, that will create jobs, expand opportunity, and make America the first-class infrastructure country that we should be, that we must be, and that if I have my way and Chuck has his way, that we will be. Let's take some questions.
Now, New York's influence is great, and our construction trades lead the country in skill and in employment. And the operating engineers, represented by Robert Burns, I'm very proud that a fella from Queens is the head of the whole international, Jimmy Callahan, my buddy. And we have great labor here, and representing them today is Robert Burns of Local 15 of the operating engineers.
Great haircut, great haircut. Good morning, everybody. I just want to say it's important and critical to get the Gateway project underway immediately to preserve and improve the commuter rail in the Northeast Corridor. The job is also important to the operating engineers who represent the men and women of the hoisting of portable and stationary engineers, which this job would roughly employ 70 to 100 of our members. And these other trades that are amongst us today, the sand hogs once again, the iron workers. Also, at the completion of the job, you would have the stationary engineers probably manning everything, keeping everything up and going. And I would also like to give great thanks to Senator Schumer and Senator Booker for keeping the infrastructure of New York and New Jersey at a priority. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Thank you. All right. We're ready for your questions.
Can you explain New Starts and how that fits into the
Yes.
funding picture of where we are with funding?
Yeah, New Starts was a program that said if you have a big new project, the federal government would put heavy money in there. And Corey and I worked the language so that it would particularly benefit big projects like New York's, because you need a local contribution as well. And so it's vital. The two places we were going to get our federal money, our 50% share, were one, New Starts, and the other is Amtrak. We got Amtrak to commit, and we got support on both sides of the aisle, that all the profits made in the Northeast Corridor, instead of going out to subsidize rail lines in Cheyenne, Wyoming, would go to rebuild infrastructure here on our Northeast Corridor. God knows we need it. So the president zeroed it out in his budget. That was very disappointing. Now we're going to fight. I've spoken to Republican leader McConnell and I, and we both agree that it shouldn't be zeroed out. We're going to fight to get it back in the budget, but that's what happened.
Zeroed out meaning cut?
Zero. Eliminated.
So what
In the proposed funds.
What makes you think that the president's trying to get
Well, we haven't. Look, the president's given mixed signals. On the one hand, he's talked about building a lot of infrastructure. Good. And on Thursday, we got the last administration to speed up the environmental review. And last Thursday, they posted it. It's very good. It means that if they get things done, the Portal Tunnel, they could start building in 2018 and the tunnels in 2019. That's pretty quick for the federal government. So those are good signs. The bad signs are cutting the budget and taking their name off our Gateway Development Corporation. So we don't frankly know where they're at. But I will tell you this, it's the first big test for the administration. Do they want to put dollars in infrastructure? It has been a bipartisan tradition for the federal government to pay for infrastructure. You know who's the first guy who figured this out? Somebody who lived in the 1820s, Henry Clay. He wasn't a Republican or a Democrat. He was a Whig. That was the party then. It was like the Republicans. And he was in Kentucky, and he said the only way Kentucky is going to prosper is if the federal government built roads over the Appalachian Mountains. And then who was the second person to expand our roads and highways big time? Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was a Republican president. Franklin Roosevelt proposed public works, a Democrat. Dwight D. Eisenhower said, let's have a federal highway system. So this has always been bipartisan. Our hope is, our prayer is, that President Trump steps up to the plate and continues that tradition. He hasn't said yes, he hasn't said no. We need a yes now so we can start moving next year and employing these people and building our tunnel, building the Portal Bridge. And don't forget, it would double the tracks that come into Penn Station. So it would be brand new. We'd have two sets of two tunnels. We wouldn't have the problem we have now ever again, or for 100 years, if Gateway was built.
Senator, how unprecedented is to move forward with the project?
I can't hear you.
How unprecedented is it to move forward with a project at this scale without support from DOT?
If DOT doesn't support it, we'll do our best, but we'll have real trouble getting it done. Corey?
No, I'll just add to that. Again, There's some good signs. We have a lot of bipartisan support in Congress. You just heard the senator talk about Mitch McConnell. I've talked to people, I sit on a couple of the committees overseeing this, talk to Republicans, they're committed. So even though Donald Trump has put up a budget that zeroes his stuff out, the tradition in our country is that infrastructure has been bipartisan. And I don't care who you are in America, you've got to understand, as President Obama said, the #1 project in this country has to be seen as the Northeast Corridor and these tunnels. So I still have a lot of confidence. We've got a lot of good momentum, but we have to have the partnership of the President of the United States.
When they pulled off the Gateway Development Corp, I was shocked. I was really unpleasantly surprised. I don't know why they did that.
Well, again, the next steps have got to be a commitment from this president. The last president, again, they put it on the federal dashboard. The last president had the head of the Department of Transportation come up here and visit and say and stand with us and meet with us and say that this is a priority for the administration. Both Chuck Schumer and I have invited Secretary Chow to come up. She's agreed that she'd like to come up. I think there's an important opportunity for the President of the United States to indicate that just if you look at the math and do a balance sheet analysis of infrastructure projects around America, this is going to rank as #1 in terms of the urgent need as well as the return on investment. This is something we have to do. Again, there is no greater economically productive region in all of our country. The greater New Jersey, New York region, he might say New York, New Jersey region.
Yeah, I would.
Is incredibly economically critical to our country's well-being. We need the president to say that this is a priority and we're going to invest the federal dollars. We'll support Congress's actions over the last 3 years to continue to make sure that the federal investments are there. And I want to say, tribute to Schumer and Christie. They've stepped up. They've said that we'll pay for 50% of this project. Cuomo, excuse me. Cuomo and Christie have stepped up and made their commitment, and they're following through on their commitment. What we need now is the President of the United States and the Secretary of Transportation to say that we're going to continue that commitment as well.
And just to show you what infrastructure means, when I first became senator, I proposed that they build a subway line over to the west side of Manhattan. We had no subway. Look at all the cranes you see here. That's because we built that subway line. It creates buildings, it creates jobs, it creates economic prosperity when you build infrastructure. And this tunnel will make the #7 line, it'll dwarf it in terms of the number of jobs and the amount of good it can do.
The cost on it went up from 7.7 billion to now 13 billion.
Yeah, that was actually, they added other things in. It wasn't ever 7.7 billion.
Well,
okay?
let me just tell you, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Somebody tell me how much.
I will tell you, it's the tunnel, it's the New Jersey side, it's the New York side, it's doubling the number of tracks in Penn Station. It is worth every penny because the federal government will get the federal government, the state government, and the local government in terms of taxes, in terms of economic growth, in terms of jobs and prosperity. Infrastructure always pays back many times over.
And I just want to add, again, that $17.7 billion is the estimate for right now. But what Chuck said, do the math. If you're a taxpayer, $1 invested in the country as a whole, you get about $2 back in economic growth. But that's just the country as a whole. Again, Chuck's example is right. We've seen from New Jersey to New York, when you build and expand rail, development booms in those areas. Jobs are created, you have a payback. But this is a point I want you to know. The longer we wait to do these tunnels, the more expensive they will get. We have to do this.
The ARC program, which unfortunately Governor Christie pulled out of, now he admits his mistake, would have been done by next year and would have cost a total of $9 billion, total. So you don't delay. It always gets more expensive when you delay.
But you're working with a Congress that doesn't want to agree on anything. You're
Oh
talking to the choir here.
no, we agreed on a budget in 2017 that restored infrastructure spending. The Democratic side, the Republican side got together, and last budget, in March, we agreed. We can do that again.
Okay.
But without the president's support, it's going to be much, much, much harder. We need his support.
All right.
No, again, one of my best experiences in Washington was that last bipartisan transportation bill that we did. And when Senator Wicker and I agreed on a rail provision, and we hadn't had a rail provision for a while, agreed on a rail provision and funded it. and change the law so that Amtrak in the Northeast Corridor could reinvest their profits in this region. Change the law so that we improve the loan programs that are existing. That was a bipartisan effort and a lot of wins for this region. And so when you have leaders in the Senate on the Republican side, leaders in the House on the Republican side, understanding the math that we have to invest in this region and get these projects done, it gives me a lot of confidence. What we're lacking now is a firm commitment from the President of the United States. And what gives me confidence, so it's not just wishful thinking, is this is a guy that ran all around the country, literally degrading our infrastructure, saying that when he flies to other nations, he flies back here, how bad it is. So this is a guy that made it a centerpiece of his campaign rhetoric. And now it's time for him to put up or shut up. And we're going to be asking and inviting him to do that, just that.
There are good signs and bad signs, is the point. Good sign, he talked about infrastructure. Good sign, they posted the EIS. Bad sign, they zeroed out the budget for new starts. Bad sign, they took themselves off the Development Corp. We don't know where they're at. We need them on our side.
How much confidence do you have in the president's consistency? He said things about health care in the campaign trail.
We're not looking for what he said. We're looking for action for the dollars that will fund this.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you guys for
All right, guys, so there you have it. Senator Chuck Schumer, and there was Cory Booker from New Jersey speaking about what is really being talked about as the crumbling infrastructure of New York City's subway and transit system. They've been working on stuff for years. Now Amtrak is accelerating some of these fixes, which is actually going to inhibit some of the stuff going to D.C., right, Emily? Like, they were saying they're going to cut back on some of the routes, I think. There'll be less to D.C., so it'll really impact the whole Northeast Corridor.
And especially just because, like, train as transportation from New York to DC is such an essential one. It seems. I mean, driving, of course, is convenient, but train to me is like the most convenient. So, if you're making that trip, that's something to definitely be aware of at this point.
Yeah, and I was even reading New York City subway is technically under a system of emergency order right now. A lot of things are crumbling. Yeah, the tunnels underneath the Hudson River were very severely damaged during Sandy. So Chuck Schumer mentioned Hurricane Sandy in that little news conference there. And yeah, a lot to be sort of said about this and how much it's going to really affect the many thousands of commuters every day. So pretty interesting stuff going on there with Amtrak and the whole system with New York and New Jersey also impacting DC. Bringing it back now, guys, to a story we just had. We were giving you guys aerial footage of Wareham, Massachusetts, where some schools were on lockdown due to an email security threat. We have an update there, right? Here we go. This was the Wareham Police Department. This was the last we heard from them. They said they were going to post this on Facebook. And what were you reading about that, Emily?
Oh, yeah. Well, some reporters from Boston have been tweeting that it came out that the students are safe. And then they came up with this post. The police department posted this saying that parents should pick their kids up from this YMCA nearby. And police were escorting school buses full of kids to the YMCA where parents met them, and so we know the students are safe, which
that's good.
Yeah.
So we do know officially. The police told the parents that everybody's good, everything's back to normal. We just don't know. We don't know further details of what that threat really was, right, or exactly what that entailed.
They seem to have it under control, but we don't know anything more, or not necessarily under control, but they're taking, obviously, as it says, caution from here on out.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so we're going to bring it back in. I'm actually going to show you this cool shot of the Capitol Dome right now because it's cool in the kind of in the shade. It's kind of just a neat color. Take a look at that, guys, for a moment, and we'll be back with you guys in the newsroom in a second. All right, guys, we're back in the newsroom now. Thanks for being with us here on this Monday, July 10th. Speaking of this, we were kind of preempting July 10th as a very specific date a few weeks ago. Intern Cam was talking about this story that happened over the weekend. Basically, some members of the KKK were visiting Virginia, Charlottesville to be exact, to protest the taking down of a Robert E. Lee Confederate statue. The big sort of story that we were chatting about was that UVA's president was asking its students, hey, don't get involved with this, don't protest, don't kind of get the university involved with the fact that the KKK are here. And over the weekend, the event did occur, and it was basically a small group of Klansmen that were met by more than 1,000 protesters in the Charlottesville Park. Now, no specifications really on if UVA was involved at all, so I don't even know if they were, but a good 1,000 people were there to protest, and they came to rally, and police used tear gas against them because there was some sort of fighting and infighting and a little bit of sort of light violence, I guess, that took place. The Klansmen rallied for less than an hour and then left, and then apparently the protesters followed them. Check out this video footage of the protesters and police there in Charlottesville. A little bit choppy video there, but there's some good video of what happened. Virginia State Police throwing tear gas into the crowd, and it's just a quick little bite there. That's all we got of what happened there, but a little bit of coverage of the story that we sort of preempted before, but pretty interesting, right? Smaller group of the KKK and then large group of protests in Virginia.
Only 50 KKK to the 1,000 protesters. 23 protesters were arrested. They said because it got violent. A couple went to the hospital because of the tear gas, but
yeah, three to the hospital apparently, 2 for heat, 1 for alcohol-related issues.
Okay.
But you would think too. I mean, tear gas. It's still like that's sort of a big. It was big enough to sort of get compelling video from it in that moment. But just interesting because we brought this up to you guys in the show a few weeks ago, or really even a month ago, when we were anticipating, hey, what's going to happen here? You know, this is really interesting that the UVA president is emailing out to the students saying basically don't entwine yourself with this event. So anyway, we covered that a little bit over the weekend. But also, guys, over the weekend, and also up in Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, senator in Massachusetts, had a town hall. And this is interesting, particularly because people are saying she could be a contender for president down the line, whether it's in 4 years, we don't know, in 8 years. But people were talking about her, and I guess, you know, we still await the first woman president. So it's a question. But she held this town hall, and we have some video of that for you guys in case you missed it. Pretty interesting stuff. We're going to throw it over there to that video, guys, and then bring it back in when we have some more live and breaking news for you guys. So enjoy this town hall.
Health centers that got a lot of funding under the ACA and have really flourished and delivered first-rate care to our citizens. There are things we can do to bring down costs, but that's where we need to be having the debate in Washington, not over how to knock 22 million people off health care and how to drive up costs for middle-class families. So first, to me, there's the ultimate difference between Republicans and Democrats. That right now in Washington, the Republicans are determined that they're going to push through a bill that cuts health care so they can produce tax breaks. And right now, the Democrats say, we're going to stand with the people and fight back. That's the difference. Now, there's one more reason I wanted to start by talking about this, and that is, there's another part to look at in this. Does anyone remember back during the presidential campaign how many times Donald Trump said, on day one, we will repeal Obamacare? Do you remember that? You remember that? How many of the Republicans got in the House? That's all they kept doing, was repealing Obamacare, right? We'd stop them in the Senate. They just kept repealing it. I remember I called one of my colleagues over in the House one day. I said, what are you all doing? He said, oh, we're just sitting around here repealing Obamacare. They voted it like...
Charlie's parents wish to thank the continued support of millions of supporters of baby Charlie from around the world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We won't be taking any questions today. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, so there we see some protesters and some people reacting to a very, very brief statement that we barely even got on in our live footage here. Charlie Gard's parents, yeah, there we go. It's super quick. Wanted to make sure we brought that to you as it came in, but we were anticipating more of a statement. It sounds like their lawyer spoke a little more about the situation going on there. We're going to effort some more information on what just happened because we don't really know. They did not take any questions. So we're going to go back to the town hall with Elizabeth Warren, guys, and we'll be back in the room shortly.
Is the first bill in history, since they've been polling this sort of thing. I say in history. You'll hear my date in just a minute. Since 2008. God, come on, guys. It feels like at least 100 years since 2008. You got to cut me some slack here on this, right? First bill since 2008 that is more unpopular than the bank bailout. So here's the thing. The Republicans know how unpopular this bill is. And in fact, here's another piece. The best data seem to show it's not just unpopular in places like Massachusetts, where we made a commitment starting back in 2006. We said we really believe in trying to get everyone covered, and we understand the urgency of starting to bring down costs. Not just in California and Oregon, where it's unpopular. The best analysis shows that repeal of the Affordable Care Act and replacement with the Republican bill is underwater. That is, more people dislike that than like it in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Think about that. Because that puts the whole thing in a little different frame. I draw two lessons from that. The first is your voice matters. Understand, the Affordable Care Act would be gone if it hadn't been for people like you who show up at town halls, for people like you who get on email, for people like you who show up at rallies and show up at protests and show up at office hours, people like you who are on Facebook, who tweet, people like you who are engaged and who talk about what the consequences will be of the Republican plans. That's what slowed it all down and got us to this point. And so lesson number one for me is if anybody asks, does it matter that we get out there and try to fight? Does it matter that I stayed up until 2 in the morning yesterday, hitting it one more time? Does it matter? Right? I do it both ways. Mm-hmm. Yep. In fact, sometimes at the same time. Does it matter? The answer is yes, it matters. Yes. So thank you. And the second lesson, you can always tell a teacher, right? And the second lesson is think about the fact that the Republicans are pushing it anyway. Think about that. Something that is so unpopular, they have to hide out. How many of my Republican colleagues are going into rooms full of people like this? Right? And how many of them, if they do go in, have on their tap dance shoes?
All right, guys, as this is ongoing, I just wanted to say hey from the newsroom. It's Molly, intern Emily, and intern Amber in the digital newsroom today. And you're looking at a lot of different stuff right now. A town hall with Elizabeth Warren that was earlier this weekend in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Also, this is a live picture right now, still of that Wareham Public Schools situation in Massachusetts. We know, according to police, that students are safe. So it sounds like they're just kind of getting some finishing aerials of what's going on. And somehow students were able to be cordoned off or evacuated. We don't really know. But they were announcing that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm seeing more different, like the high school. We knew it was middle school. It was also the high school. Apparently, CCD kids from St. Patrick's, which I assume is nearby.
Wait, so it's both a middle school and a high school?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of schools. It says like basketball camps, like all different camps. And
oh wow!
All different stuff.
If it was a combination with a high school, then ooh.
So it was some summer camps and sort of summer schools that were evacuated. Okay.
Bunch of different ones, yeah.
You can see, look at this. Pretty good footage here of the SWAT team coming out. This was obviously a serious matter. We got this footage in early. They switched our sources and then we came back to it. So seems to be sort of a pressing thing, of course, after an email was sent to an administrator that deemed it to put the school on high security alert. So that's all we know about that. Meanwhile, with the Charlie Gard situation, some of you are watching some of that. We barely got the parent statement on that, but the update is that, what is it?
They're going back to court, and the new hearing date is set for this Thursday.
Okay, so they did look pretty sullen and pretty sad in that meeting. Obviously, they didn't take questions, so it sounds like they're going back to fight the fact that they want their child, this 11-month-old baby with a rare genetic brain disorder, to be able to come over to the States and seek treatment in a different way, right? An alternative.
This experimental, treatment, because he has some degenerative DNA disorder that affects his breathing, and they think that this new experimental treatment in the U.S. will help.
Do we know anything about this treatment, like the details, the procedure?
There are some scientific details on what sort of his condition is, and there's some sort of more scientific names of what they were trying to do, but it's something really new and innovative and sort of hasn't really been tried before, I think. That's what I was reading a little bit about it. So I'm not too well versed on that, but it's definitely a big talker, and it's making really international news now because President Trump has weighed in and all that stuff. I'm seeing your comments, guys. Yeah, Silly One. There's a tank at this school. It's pretty crazy. Actually, let me bring that full screen. Kind of crazy.
I don't think it's a tank.
Well, that type of thing. It's like a SWAT truck. Not really a tank, but yeah, it's kind of a wild shot. Yeah, to see. And the Charlie matter. Yeah, it's really sad. I don't know. It's really hard unless you're in that position to be sort of put in the position of these parents, or I don't know, the other side. I don't really know. I don't know enough about it really to hold an opinion, but it's sad for them, I think, because they're fighting a court on the life of their child.
Yeah, I saw some sad tweets about like a mother's right to keep her child alive, which I guess if you put it down into those words, like, that's kind of what it is.
Right. It is really sad when you see that. So, hey, Zach, thanks for watching. Let me know where you guys are watching from. You are looking right now at live aerials of Massachusetts, Wareham, Mass. It's a 22,000 population town next to Cape Cod, so south of Boston. There's a big zoom out there. This is sort of the school system right here, the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. And they were on lockdown earlier this morning. Some were evacuated. We're told from police, according to some of the police statements, that everyone is okay and that they've been able to get everyone out, and they're kind of searching the building now. But this was all a reaction to an email security threat. And so we're going to kind of watch and wait to see what comes out of this. It wasn't quite panic. I'm seeing your comments here. I was just seeing sort of that the administrator deemed it necessary to get these security officials on site. There's some more footage.
More
oh my goodness.
Yeah, more kids.
So they were being.
It's crazy to see. They were. That means they were in there. If this is live, which it is, they were being held probably in classrooms. And we were talking earlier, Emily, and Amber, about like you guys going through the process of like learning what to do in these situations when you're in school. Something that I was never really privy to as a student.
Like, I just remember having drills when I was younger of like what to do if there's a shooter in the building. Like you have your fire drills, you have your tornado drills, and then you have your if there's a shooter in the
That's how they
building
call it?
drills.
That's
I
what
don't know what they're called, but basically
Emergency.
they get on the and like we had some like secret code phrase that they would say over the announcement systems.
Wow.
And it was like so and so is I don't know, it was something vague, but like it meant that there's a shooter kind of thing.
And I guess they have to, right? Because if he's in the building or he or she is in the building
and hears that, then
that's really scary. Did you have another scenario or anecdote?
We, as an add-on, when they started doing the in case of shooter drills, and that was until like junior, possibly senior year of high school, all they would say was on the announcement, code blue, and then we would all get up, turn off the lights, and go hide in a specific area, which was not good because some of the areas in the building were very close to the door, and the doors had this glass window thing on it. It was it wasn't super thick, but it was more than enough for anyone to just take a peek and possibly see a person or two. And then you gotta wait for a little bit and see if they say code red, and then we would have to go evacuate via the window. But as far as I remember, the students didn't really take it seriously. We just saw it as a reason just to get up, and I just remember like a moment or two we just had a couple of laughs. So we didn't really take it seriously as I know we should have. So
yeah,
that's not, at least the students didn't.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say this is quite scary because it is an elementary school here. They were listing it. There are 2 elementary schools in this township, in this town, like I said, right next to Cape Cod. And you wonder if these kids have also been through drills like that to learn. I mean, so sad, right, to say that we live in this day and age where Sandy Hook happens, and how tragic was that just to see things becoming now like the normal mainstream. And now these kids are, hopefully they know what to do and they're not too scared. The parents must be so crazy.
I can't imagine what those parents are thinking. And they know to pick up their kids, and the police released something that they'll be meeting at a YMCA nearby, and that's how they'll pick up their kids. And they have these police escorts, but I can't imagine like being a parent, seeing that post, hearing about this, and knowing that your kids are in there, not knowing what's going on or anything.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm seeing you guys' comments. Yeah, silly one saying drills are very effective. Getting used to an adrenaline rush can save your life for sure. That's a really interesting comment. Because even kids as young as this, like Emily was saying too, she went through those drills, or you learn at a young age, learning how to do that. I could see that being very effective. That's really interesting. And Zach, you say you live in England. That's cool. You must be sort of privy to all the stuff that's going on, of course, with the whole Charlie Gard case. We've been watching that, and like I said, it's become international news and something to keep a watch on. So let me know more about what you think about that. Yeah.
I for one kind of think that this is a good thing. Like I'm not saying like the whole incident is good, but I like the fact that it didn't end up being worse. Like, what would happen if the administrator just thought it was some prank kid and just decided to, I mean, of course we don't know the severity of the email, but if he had just decided to just not even look at it, or
I feel like they've all been trained though that you can't take anything lightly anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bob, I know you're saying you realize this is nothing new. Columbine happened, and I know that's so true too. I mean, I do understand that. I remember Columbine very, very well. That was sort of my first foray into seeing that this could happen, and I was young enough for it to be like, oh my gosh, sort of I was about to enter high school and like all this stuff. But I think to see it at elementary school is even, it's just scarier for me, and seeing Sandy Hook sort of change my perspective on that. So that's where I felt the elementary school aspect became new, I guess, for me. But everyone kind of has a different thought on it, I guess, or perspective, depending on where you were and what you see and what you think. But yeah, you're right. I mean, these school shootings and these drills, like you guys were saying, you go through this in your elementary school years, right? Or middle school?
I remember elementary and then high school too. High school was
bigger.
I remember, it was definitely like once or twice a year kind of thing that you had to do.
Public high school. Yeah, and these are public schools here. This is the Wareham public school system in Massachusetts. On lockdown this morning. This is live pictures, guys, aerials of it. Yeah, Sandy Hook broke my heart too. It was, it's very, very, very sad. I remember that very well too. And yeah, like you said, you just can't you have to take every little threat seriously now. So this has pretty much been the story of the day, I think, at least for Fox 5 Live here in DC on our digital channel, because it's sort of the most compelling thing coming down that's live right now.
Sure, it'll be the story of the day period, and
up there especially.
Especially once we get more information, maybe by the nighttime, like the 5 o'clock news, and we'll have more about it. About who sent it, why they sent it.
I know. I'm really curious about that too. I mean, obviously, yeah, it was a big presence. It was a big security presence there. So
huge.
There was. I'm really curious about the email as well, and sort of what they were looking for. If they were looking for someone, who's behind it.
Whether it was like a fellow student kind of thing. That's what I'm really curious. Whether it was like a
high schooler,
high schooler, kid. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, Bob, you're right. Like, I see your point on older folks. It's sort of old hat because we've seen this. It's so true, and it's so sad. We've seen it in the late '90s. Columbine was a big shocker. That was sort of one of the bigger ones, and obviously it was kind of crazy for that time, I guess. But isn't it sad? I do agree. It's like sad that it is sort of desensitized to us. Here's some more. It looks like they panned out to a neighborhood. Okay, we're back to the school here. There's the buses loading, I guess loading the kids on. We saw some kids come out.
They said that the buses will have police escorts as they take kids out, so definitely proceeding with caution.
Yeah, that's actually a really big deal. I mean, there's a lot of cops right there.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah, guys, so we'll kind of continue to watch this and monitor it. Watch along with us and continue to chat with our live chat here. We'll answer any of your questions and comments, and we're going to keep our eye on this, and we're going to bring you back to that town hall also, just kind of double screen it here with Elizabeth Warren. Also was in Massachusetts. This was earlier in Pittsfield, Mass. And so I'm going to double shot it for you guys.
53, go to the nearest microphone. 28, nearest microphone. And, well, maybe we'll go for 4. 81, which could be 18 if you wanted it to be, but let's go with 81. And 103. Let's see how that works.
All right.
There is, as you're walking to the microphone, as you're going to the microphone, I have one rule. Keep it passionate, but keep it brief. Okay? All right, who is first? 53, whoever you are.
I'm 53.
Okay, go.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the U.S. policy should be in Syria. Like, what should Trump do?
So, you know, I just got back actually from Afghanistan and Pakistan, and I'm reminded when we talk about any of the disputes in this area, and I'm glad to talk more about Afghanistan as well, if anyone wants to. The United States needs a coherent strategy. It is not a coherent strategy to have the next tactical move laid out with no sense of what happens next. So in Syria, for example, we've gone back and forth, as you know, with the Russians. The only way we're going to have a solution has got to be a solution that involves Russia as well, because Russia's propping up the Syrian state. Without Russia, Assad would have been gone long ago. Now that we're about to drive ISIS out of parts of the country, the question is what happens next? What happens in this vacuum? And I'll make 2 points. The first is that we need a president and a team that's engaged in that question. And I really don't want to be partisan here. I don't. This is too important. We need a president and a team engaged in that effort. And the second thing we need is we need not just to keep talking about what our military needs, which is very important, but we also have to talk about the other tools available to us. Economic tools, diplomatic tools. So that means we need a full State Department. And right now, it's just been decimated. And I'll make one more small point and underline this, that every military person I speak with, when I talk to them about whether or not their jobs are made easier or harder when the State Department is cut, when there's no one home, when there's nobody there to help out, to engage in the negotiations, to do the intelligence gathering, to a person, our military leaders say, my job is harder if I don't have partners in the State Department, partners at USAID. So I'm not giving you an answer. I recognize that in terms of mapping out what the strategy is, because we're just not even close. We don't even have the right people in place to be able to work something out that will stop the death in Syria, stop the flow of refugees out of Syria, and begin to stabilize that region. But at least I know the direction we ought to start in. I hope that's helpful. I hope so. Thank you.
Number 28.
Yes, my question is that.
Hey guys, just checking back in with you from the digital newsroom here. We're watching a town hall from Elizabeth Warren from this weekend, but right in the bottom of your screen, continued aerials here of Wareham, Massachusetts, where the public school system is pretty much shut down due to an email threat from this morning. Now, police have said that students are safe. They've assured parents that students are going to be bused to safety and everything is okay. But we're still seeing this footage here of students coming out onto these buses. And thanks for watching, guys. I'm reading some of what you have to say, and it's interesting to see everyone's perspective on these types of things, because security alerts, high alert for schools has been a thing for so long now. And Bob, I didn't realize that you were 40, so you kind of have seen this in your past, and it's sort of old news to you, right, for some people. And Zach, you were saying that your sister was somewhere. I don't know which one you meant, but that's quite scary to have anybody involved in any of those school shootings or shutdowns or anything. But yeah, it is really amazing to see how our perspective has changed over the years based on what we've seen in this whole realm. So anyway, we're going to keep an eye on this. Here's the full picture there. But again, we are hearing that students are okay. They're being bused to safety. And we're going to kind of keep watching and waiting for more updates up in Massachusetts. Just a reminder, this is a small sort of town outside of Cape Cod. So it's south of Boston, 22,000 people, one high school, that type of thing, one middle school. And this involves that middle school for sure. We were seeing some aerials of that earlier. So anyway, guys, we're going to keep it on this concurrent with this town hall, which was also taking place in Massachusetts. And there's some close-ups there of the symbol, the baseball team of the school. But yeah, as we have more news kind of crop up and more sources coming into us live, we'll bring you there as well. So stay with us and keep on chatting it up on our stream, and we'll answer your questions as we go.
Otherwise, they're not going to be able to pay for their health care. This is not who we are, and this is not the way we want to deliver health care in America. So let me just say, you've said more eloquently than I can how important it is to have health care coverage across this country. And I talk about it in the short just to talk about we're human beings. We should care. We can't just turn our backs on our family members, on our neighbors, on our fellow human beings. But the other part of it is it makes no sense financially to do this. Delivering health care when it is needed, early screenings when they are needed, health care so that people with significant disabilities can continue to work, can continue to take care of themselves. Seniors who want to be able to stay at home with just a little extra care can do that. This is one of those places where spending a little money up front can save a lot of money over the long arc. And so I say to the Republicans, if you won't do it out of humanity, do it out of just a concern for your pocketbook, that we will save more money in the long run if we get good, effective, affordable health care in place from the beginning. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna keep the podium or the lineup going. So number 12, go to one of the bottom two microphones if you wouldn't mind, and 10, go to the other microphone. So now we have all four filled, and so 81, you're up, and 12, you're on deck.
Man, Adam runs a tough ship here. All right, everybody spiff up there. Okay.
So 12, you're up.
Oh, I thought 81 was up.
Oh, sorry, 81.
81.
Oh,
or
see?
18. Uh-huh.
Or 18.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I have 2 points to tell you. My name is Elizabeth Wong, and people have mistaken me for you.
All right.
Okay. And number 2, I've been a nurse since 1967, and I'm on the camp that Massachusetts and the United States of America needs you to stay as a U.S. Senator.
All right.
That's all I want to say.
Thank you. So, all right. So if I get to do one back at you, and that is, I just want to tell you a little story, and that is, it was sometime in, I think it was in August of 2011, and people were saying you should run for the Senate. Other people saying you should not run for the Senate. But I hadn't decided whether I was going to run for the Senate or not. I was in my kitchen on a Saturday night, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and this woman says, "Is this Elizabeth Warren?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I'm calling from Massachusetts Nurses Association. We just endorsed you for the Senate." And I said, wow. I said, "That's really pretty cool." But I said, "I'm not actually a candidate for Senate." And she said, "Yeah," but she said, "We figured if you knew you'd have the nurses behind you, you'd probably jump in. And we'll be there every step of the way." So, thank you. And the nurses were fabulous. Yeah,
that's great.
Still
Number 4, fill the open mic, and we're going on to 12. Oh, are you guys better than me? Okay, 103. Hey, whoever wants to talk, just go ahead.
Okay.
Do I just help? I'm very impressed that you don't have to write notes and that I had to write down my question.
That's okay. It's okay.
When I was thinking about our inability to stop the lies and accusations coming from the mouth of 45, I began to wonder about the secondary gains of his remaining in office. I'd like to hear your opinion of why he still is in office. And could the reason in part because if Pence was the president, he has some verbal skills, and he might be able to make the changes that 45 cannot because he's in the middle of such controversy.
Hey guys, thanks for chatting along with us on our live stream here. Some of you have noticed you're watching Elizabeth Warren. Her town hall from this weekend was kind of an interesting way to answer questions with the public, and I thought it was kind of just interesting to put side by side with this live shot here of Wareham, Massachusetts. And Evan, you're saying that you're from there. Hey Evan, thanks for watching. Tell me sort of, I'm curious to know what's sort of going on and what you're hearing, or if you're involved at all in the public school system there. It sounds like maybe you're from right where this is all happening. But that's the live look right now at the schools that are on lockdown. So we're watching that. And again, we were hearing that things are okay. The police have assured parents that things are under control. No new details right now about what this all entailed, really, what happened, what the email said that made everything sort of escalate into this with the SWAT teams coming in.
We have no we're not given any details about it. It was very vague. They just said that the administrator received an email that was highly a problem, and that they contacted the authorities, and that's all we have. But based on how they're based on how the police are, based on how the children are being evacuated, we're certain there's a chance that the details in the email might be very graphic and very life-threatening.
It's possible, exactly. And actually, the chief of police, Kevin Walsh, said at this time there is no reason to believe that there's any danger to the community. So we pretty much gave the all clear. But you can see right here, SWAT teams, they're still kind of doing these security measures, checking out all these buildings, and there's probably a lot of ground to cover. Now, he said actions are necessary to ensure the safety and security of all. So it sounds like they are going through these the security protocol here to clear all these buildings in the area. But again, police were not really able to confirm details of what exactly happened, like Amber was saying, what the email said, what exactly went on. and why this all happened. But I'm curious to see, especially if you guys are watching from up there. Oh, Evan, you said you were there. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness. So it sounds like you were able to sort of get out. Maybe you're watching this on your phone. But you're looking still. Yeah, I hope everything's okay up there. Yeah, thank goodness. If you're watching them, sort of the SWAT team sort of still secure this whole area. So it sounds like people like you, Evan, were able to leave. And you wrote it in past tense, so I'm assuming that you are now not there, which is good. But quite scary for your community.
I think they're panning out.
Yeah, it looks like the chopper is going out, and maybe it'll go back. We don't know. Yeah, it is panning out. All right, guys. So we'll switch it over here. We'll put this back to us. Yeah, so now we're here in the newsroom, guys. Yeah, we'll see if we get more footage of that. But it sounds like the chopper was done, sort of maybe ran out of fuel. But
and I sent another one like they did before.
Wow, goodness. Evan saying that he was involved in it. Oh my goodness. Well, we hope everything is okay up there, guys.
Wait, what was it say?
We're going to take you back to this town hall for a moment, guys, and if we have more details on the situation in Massachusetts, we'll provide them to you. But again, just in all clear, the police did say that they are taking the necessary precautions, but they do say that everyone is safe at this time, and it sounds like students were able to get out, including Evan. It sounds like you were there.
New source on SLab Channel 1 is Fox. New source on SLab Channel 1 is Fox.
What is this?
All right, guys.
Secretary Tillerson, as best I can read what he's saying, was to say, in effect, let bygones be bygones. Let's talk about how we don't want this to happen in the future. The Russians have developed a new weapon, and that weapon is a cyber attack on the basic democratic structure of the United States, of France, of other countries in Europe, and throughout the world. We need a response to that, and not a response that says, let's put this behind us and get a promise that you won't do it in the future, but a promise that says, when you attack us, there will be real consequences. We will not permit this to go unchecked. So, I'm sorry about turning it into a longer answer than you asked, but it's about both halves right now as I see it. It's about Trump just trying to save his own skin. You know, what does Trump think about morning, noon, and night? The evidence is Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, 3 a.m., every part. And for him to go into these negotiations and say, you know, not a big deal, that our intelligence community tells us that the Russians hacked into American systems to influence the outcome of the election, is not only fundamentally wrong, it poses a direct danger to the United States, and we got to fight back on this. So, yeah.
Number 48, you'll find the open mic, and 12, you're up.
Hi, I'm Jamie, and I'm from
Jamie.
Great Barrington, and I'm a nurse as well.
All right.
And I have multiple sclerosis as well, although I'm doing very well.
Good.
So I'm going to go back to your initial healthcare talk, because 2 weeks ago when I was at work, when the bill was almost going to be voted on, I was in so much stress that I thought I was going to jump out of my skin. I wanted to go to Washington then and just, I don't know, walk the halls of Congress, lie down, get arrested, whatever I needed to do. So what I want to know is, in this next week or second week coming up, what can I do? What can we do?
Yes.
Can we go to Washington? Can we demonstrate? I am willing to get on a train and get the hell there as fast as I can. So tell me what to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, so let's make some parts to this for everybody. Janie, you may be on part of this already, but let me just make sure everybody. First thing I advise everybody to do is join a group. I hope everybody in here has. And if you've joined one group, think about joining another. Lots of different groups. The reason I say that is because they make sure everybody's informed and focused on what are the issues right in front of us right now. You know, we have issues with Russia. The one right in front of us starting right now has to be healthcare, though. So we got to keep that one going, but we got to focus on healthcare. The other reason to join a group, one voice is loud, two voices is more than twice as loud, 10 voices more than that, 10,000 start to become a movement that makes a difference. So that's part one. Part two in this is reach out. Reach out to everybody you know. Reach out. Look, we're in Massachusetts. Our delegation is all in. This is a Senate play now instead of House, although it's always good to keep the pressure up on the House. But it's Senate now. Your two senators are totally in the right place. But everybody in here knows somebody in a state with a Republican senator.
Hey guys, checking in with you here from the Digital Newsroom. Evan, we're so glad that you are okay. Thanks for joining in with us here to tell us about your day. It definitely sounded quite scary. And guys, people who are just joining us, you're watching. This is a new kind of shot here of what all went down in Massachusetts. And we're reading some new information from police. They said that we understand a large police presence is alarming. As you guys saw, there were lots of SWAT team members gathering around these buildings, entering these buildings. But they said their number one priority is to ensure parents, essentially, that their children and the school officials are safe. We do not take any chances when it comes to that. So even though those pictures were quite daunting, we do know that they were, because they take this seriously. And it was, like we said, a security threat by email, apparently. And police responded here, and the school has been on lockdown. Students were bused towards the Wareham YMCA, I was hearing.
Attention Fox stations, attention Fox stations on Edge.
And guys, I know our shot is moving around a little bit, but we're still here on the ground in Massachusetts. You can see a school bus there ahead of us, ahead of the camera there, from our sources up there in Massachusetts. But yeah, definitely amazing to have you on the chat, Evan, that you knew sort of what to do and found yourself in that scenario. We're so glad to have you here chatting about it with us. Quite the scary situation in Massachusetts, something that police definitely do not take lightly, and of course should not. And we live in this day and age where all the stops need to be pulled out really for safety. So we are going to continue to kind of watch this scenario, guys. If you're just joining us on the stream, welcome. We're watching this lockdown that's in place in Wareham, Massachusetts, a town right next to Cape Cod, in below Boston, that is, so on the eastern edge there of Massachusetts. And we know that police are telling parents, rest assured, the children are safe, but they are taking all precautions to make sure that all the students are bused off to a location where they can be picked up and get home. Police were seen with rifles entering the elementary school and the middle school in this area. So quite the scary scene to an onlooker, but I guess we'll wait for more details with a press conference or anything else from officials for more on that. Meanwhile, let's take it to international news, guys. There are celebrations all over the country as Iraq celebrates basically the capturing of Mosul away from the Islamic State that happened over the weekend. So check this out.
ما رأيناه وما شاهدناه ولدينا زيارات متكررة شفنا.
Looks like just various celebrations in different cities. We're getting this footage in live. So people are taking to the streets to celebrate this pretty momentous occasion there for Iraq.
اليوم نينوى عراقية اليوم نينوى
Latino community, like in my church and just general community, that there's like almost a fear of college and student loans and whether we can afford it or not. And I was wondering what is being done on Capitol Hill, and what advice can you give to a student like me about what to do as I prepare for college?
Okay. So the first part is to say what's happening in Washington right now on student loans is the Republicans have completely shut down the debate. They will not let me take my bill to the floor, which would refinance student loan debt. This is one of those things. I'm sorry. Cleansing breath. Look, a lot of people in this room know me. But let me just put it this way. I grew up in a family that we lived paycheck to paycheck, and we lived through some really tough times. I wanted just one thing in my life from the time I was in second grade on. I wanted to be a public school teacher. Can we hear it for our public school teachers? It's what I wanted. I can still describe my second grade classroom and Mrs. Lee, who told me that I could be a teacher if I worked very, very hard. By the time I graduated from high school, we didn't have the money for a college application, much less to send me off to college. And I got a scholarship. Then I was really smart. Got married at 19 and dropped out of school. Yeah, boy, I had it all figured out. And I thought I'd lost it all. And I ended up living near a commuter college that cost $50 a semester. And I look at that and realize I am the daughter of a janitor who ended up as a college professor and a United States senator because America invested in educating me. And I am deeply grateful for that. You bet. And I've been right here at Berkshire County Community College for graduation to celebrate all the folks who go back to school, who make it through. But the reality is today, those options are not available to our kids. 70% of young people who graduate from state universities have to borrow money to get there. And here's the twist of the knife. The federal government is making a profit off the backs of our students. On target, after you account for bad debts, the cost of funds, the administrative costs, on target right now to make tens of billions of dollars in profits from young people who have to borrow money to go to school. That is morally reprehensible. It's disgusting. We want to build a future in this country. It starts with helping all of our kids get an education. So, all right, so there are two things that are going on right now. We can't move anything on the floor because the Republicans are in charge, and you better believe I'm running for re-election in 2018, and I'm going to help everybody who's in the Senate in 2018 and in the House. That's one way we'll make a difference, and I'm going to talk about this every chance I get, and I urge every one of my colleagues to talk about this student loan problem. Second one is Department of Education. The Department of Education is supposed to work for the students, not for the for-profit colleges. Yes. If you haven't already seen it, once you leave here, click on to DeVos Watch. Just search. It's the best we can do. It's oversight over Betsy DeVos to keep reminding her she is supposed to run the Department of Education for the students, and we're going to stay on that. So that's something you can do. Third part you can do is we got a lot of great schools here in Massachusetts, and the best I can say is borrow as little as you can. live at home, go to nearby schools. It's not fair to ask this, to put all this on young people, but it's tough. You take on that student loan debt, and I just want to remind everyone else, we now have $1.3 trillion outstanding in student loan debt. It is growing at the rate, think about this, because people are paying off every year, and then some new people are taking out loans. But because of the interest rates, it is growing at $100 billion a year. Think about that. And it's now showing up. Young people are not buying homes at the ages we would anticipate because they've got so dang much student loan debt. They're not buying cars. They're not starting businesses. There have been reports out from the Federal Reserve, from the Treasury Department, from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, all saying student loans are a drag on our economy. You know, it's like the point about healthcare. Even if you didn't care about young people trying to get an education, you'd want to cut the student loan burden because it has an economic impact that touches all of us. So here's the best I can do. Get yourself into college. It's important. You must do it. And all of us commit. 2018, 2020, 2022, we have got to get people in Washington who are going to make sure that we roll back the student loan debt and bring down the cost of college. Way to go. Thank you. It's a good question. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. 21, you're up. Oh, you want to go right back there first? 44.
Hi.
44.
44.
Take a swipe. Yeah.
I see 44 back there. I've been watching you.
Yep.
I always keep an eye on the back row. You can tell teachers, right? I know why you're in the back row. Okay.
There are
Come on, 44.
there are several people up here in wheelchairs. We're in the back of the room, and we want to be in the front of the room. But my name is Pat Shealy, and I have disabilities, and I must use a wheelchair. And I'm on the board of UCP and the Commission of Disabilities for Pittsfield. We are active, but we depend upon Medicaid.
Yes.
People with disabilities, Medicaid is a lifeline.
Yep.
To put it bluntly, my life is toast without it. And with the Republican, now their proposal, we know what, no matter what they're going to put forward, they want to gut Medicaid, and then with what is left, give block grants to the states, which means that the support services that people with disabilities need, we will either be on waiting list or there will be no services. We know we have a strong team of you guys in Washington. And again, this question has been already asked. What else can we do to get the rest of the nation on the same page? We are going to organize something with people in disabilities in Berkshire County, just to make people know that we are here and we want the best for our independent lives. But what can we do politically?
So good. It's a great question, and I want to say thank you for your activism on this. It really matters. So here's one more thing you can do that I'm actually glad you asked, because it gave me a chance to think of one more thing to do. And that is, tell your story. Tell your personal story. If you're touched by Medicare, if you are touched, put a face on it. We cannot let it be the case. The Republicans just make it, oh, it's them. You know, it's a bunch of people out there.
Hi, guys. Thanks for chatting with us on YouTube. You guys are looking for some more shots of what's going on in Massachusetts. The only one I have right now is this full picture here, and not a big sort of aerial shot of all the security officials and the police cars that were gathering to work on this. But if you're just joining us, guys, welcome. We are sort of monitoring the situation in Wareham, Massachusetts, where schools were locked down earlier this morning due to an email threat that was emailed in to an administrator at the public school system there. We do know that police have announced there is no reason to believe that there is any more danger to the community at this time, which is really, really great. We're grateful for that. But they are taking all precautions, all necessary action to ensure that the safety and security of all people. Students, like we know, were bussed off to the YMCA and to other locations, possibly home as well, to get out of that scene. But this is the only shot right now, this ground shot that we have. And I don't even really have any sound on this. I was hoping we could get maybe a police press conference or something coming up to update us on what's going on. But Evan, thanks so much for being on our chat. We're really happy to have you here, that you were, you said that you were on the scene there and you were in school. What a crazy, scary day that must have been. But you sort of were able to get out of there and you knew what to do. It's really interesting to see, we were talking about this before, the training that some of these students get now in elementary school and middle school, because school safety, there is such this threat now, which is so sad that that is the normal. But we know that students need to be aware of this type of thing. They need to know what to do in these situations, just like Evan, one of our viewers. And again, we're going to sort of monitor this. But again, we do know that police have said, you know, they're taking all precaution, and that's why it was a little scary to see all those SWAT team members and people coming in to ensure that all the buildings were cleared, that the buses were getting those little elementary school students out of the premises and to safety. So that's what we know at this point, guys. We just really have this ground shot, unfortunately, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for joining us here. We will keep you updated if we hear anything else via Twitter or police messages to the public about this ongoing situation in Wareham, Mass. And meanwhile, over the weekend, also in Massachusetts, Senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, was speaking to a town hall in a quite interesting kind of casual style about everything, including education, speaking of that, and healthcare and everything. So we're kind of playing that out for you guys to listen into while we wait for more information on this situation. And Evan, I'm seeing now that you're home and you got out of that situation, which is great. We're grateful for that. That must have been a really crazy experience. So thanks for watching here, and we'll bring you every live shot that we do have of this ongoing situation in Massachusetts.
Oh, but it's tiring, and you know, we've done this for 6 months. Well, yeah. You know, nobody said you get in the fight when it's easy, right? You get in the fight when it's convenient, when it fits in your schedule. You get in the fight because it's the fight that's important, right? And if it matters to you, you're in it. So part of it is we must persist. We must be in this fight all the way. But the second is, you can't shoot at everything that moves. No, I'm serious. We have to be disciplined. Yeah, I get it. Crazy 3 a.m. tweets, you know, hair, you know, whatever. A lot of things to talk about, but we really have to put our energy in a pointed way on the issues that are in front of us. There is so much moving right now. There is so much they're trying to do, so much in terms of rolling back protections on the environment, right? On worker protections, the attacks on unions. It's just one piece after another. Women, oh yeah. Planned Parenthood, just one after another. And what that means is that all of us, even when we're willing to make the argument, we only have 24 hours in a day. So we've got to stay disciplined. Right now it's healthcare because this one is right in front of us. It truly is at the critical point. But we've got to stay organized on all of these issues. So that's the best I could do. Thank you. Thank you. All right. One more.
All right. No pressure. No pressure, number 48. You're the last word.
48. This is going to be a good one. 4.
Oh.
4. 2. 4. What?
I have a 48 in front of me. We can interpret that as an 84 or whoever you are, go for it.
What's the issue? So my name's Leilani Hover. I'm a proud nurse at Berkshire Medical Center.
Yay!
A proud member of the M&A. I graduated here from Berkshire Community College later in life, and I just want to say that the nurses are in the middle of negotiating a contract.
Yes.
We're being made to seem as if we're greedy, we're all about ourselves. I need you and your delegation to understand that we're out here for the community.
Yep.
We go to work every day and fight for you, fight for all of you. So I would like for you and your delegation, could you make a commitment to the nurses and talk to the BHS heads and say, could you please put patient care above profit?
Right.
Could you please negotiate a fair contract? Will you do that for us?
Nurses are out there fighting for their patients, and I'm deeply grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you. Did we have one more? We have one more.
Hi.
Hi.
First, thank you for your resistance in wearing open-toed shoes.
Whoa!
It seems like under the radar, there's kind of an insidious loss of protection for clean air and water. And right here in Berkshire County, we have Scott Pruitt and the EPA versus the GE consent decree.
Yeah.
And I just wondered what you could tell us about that.
So, look, I assume all of you know what's going on, that for years, GE dumped, I'm trying to think of a word. No, that wasn't the word I was looking for. Yes, pollutants, yes, PCBs, right into the water, right? And into the ground around it. We have known since the 1960s what a danger it poses to health. And I know that the community for years has been after them to clean it up. The EPA finally got engaged. A lot of negotiations, finally came to a deal, a few months ago. And a lot of people thought it was not a strong enough deal. I understand that. On the other hand, there were some who said better to get it done. And I think the big issue was about how far away they were going to have to carry the polluted soil and what they dredged out of the river. But the deal was done. And then the Republicans took over the White House, and Scott Pruitt got named head of the EPA. And Pruitt promptly announced that any deal was now open for another round of negotiations. And GE said, we'll take that. And they're back at the table. This is just appalling. And a reminder that Scott Pruitt has made it pretty clear that his job is not, as he sees it, to protect the air and the water for the citizens of the United States, that his job is to help the profitability of those who polluted the air and the water. And I just think that's fundamentally wrong. I'm part of letters. I know there are going to be lawsuits around this, pushing back. But this one is tough. And it's tough in part, I say this to all of you, we constructed these agencies on the assumption they were going to be there for the people. And some administrations, they'd be a little stronger, and some administrations not so much. But someone like Scott Pruitt as the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, we're looking for every way we can to push back. And actually, we found one that helped a little bit. And I just want to point this out because it goes back to the question about staying in the fight. And that is, when the budget came up, we had to finish out a budget for this year back in February, right? Gets proposed. And Trump's version of the budget was to cut the Environmental Protection Agency budget by roughly about a third. And the consequence of that would have been to just lay off whole divisions, principally enforcement divisions of the Environmental Protection Agency. And we're back and forth in negotiations in the Senate over it and also with the House. And I rounded up 18 senators and said, look, if we all lock elbows together might be able to influence some part of what's going on in these budget negotiations. And one of the things we got into the budget negotiations for this year is that they could cut the EPA budget by 1% and do no mass layoffs. That's pretty good under the circumstances, you know. It's not the end zone dance that you'd like to be able to do, but under the circumstances it is. And so I describe this by way of saying, that's for me what it's like right now in Washington. I sort of sometimes feel like I'm climbing this sheer rock wall, and you're looking for places where you can get a handhold, where you can chip out something. And maybe it's oversight over DeVos. That's why we put up the DeVos Watch to try to stay on the Secretary of Education. We're staying on the new head of the Environmental Protection Agency. But here's the other part, is using the efforts through budgeting. Because I want to tell you another little part of that story. When we saw the Trump budget come down, it was just devastating. I mean, what was proposed in there. So, for example, Trump proposed, and the Republicans proposed, to cut $1 billion from National Institute of Health, medical research funding this year. I mean, like, think about that. How do you do that? The research projects are already you fire the mice? I mean, I don't even know how you take them.
All right, guys, that looks like we are going to roll out of that town hall with Elizabeth Warren from this weekend, but you're still looking at this live picture here in Massachusetts. So thank you so much for joining along with us today as we brought you this coverage. We will conclude with this shot. Looks like they're moving it a little bit. But I will say this. We know that police have said everything is being taken with much precaution and that there's no reason at this time to believe that there is any danger imminent or present to the community. So we're grateful for that. And it looks like this elementary and middle school lockdown happened over a span of multiple hours. There's still police on site, obviously, and we're continuing to kind of watch the updates online. So just as a reminder, you guys can check out our Facebook page and our website for more updated stories on this and everything else that we covered today on Fox 5 Live. We're going to take it back into the newsroom here for a second as we take down the show. We are here every day, guys, 11 a.m. into the afternoon, following breaking news, live sources, live events, trending topics and videos, everything you could want from video and breaking news. I'm here with intern Amber today. She's helping me out in the digital room. And I'm Molly Nivola here, bringing you Fox 5 Live for today, this Monday, the 10th of July. So we'll be back tomorrow. And guys, if you're on and you like what you see and you want to hang out with us more, go ahead and click the button that says subscribe so you can see when we pop up on your phones when we come up at 11 a.m. in the mornings. We're going to roll out with a live shot of the White House today because we're in Washington, D.C. We want to show you guys that. So take care. Have a great Monday. We'll see you guys back on Tuesday here for our live show. And enjoy this beautiful shot of the White House here today on this summer day, guys. Have a great one and take care.